This is maybe the most famous sample of all time. Not this. This. This 7-second drum break is known worldwide as the Amen break, or Amen break if you're British. And it was performed by drummer Gregory Coleman. Now, you may assume that this guy is extremely wealthy, right? The story of this sample is not so simple. Welcome to Samples I Like, a recurring segment that I'm kicking off on this channel where I talk about samples I like and everything I can Google about them. To kick us off, the most famous sample of all time, the Amen break. Now, of course, there are other YouTube videos on this subject that I will link in my description. I tried to get all the best information that I could from them and present to you as a sort of gumbo, if you will, of all the info served up for you.
Feeling! We got a gumbo! Whoa!
Now, you have definitely heard the Amen break, whether you're conscious of it or not. It has been used in everything from the most classic hip-hop songs of all time to Jeep commercials.
Now, during the Extreme Jeep Snow event,
to entire genres of music and even TV theme songs. Let's get into the history, shall we? Amen Brother was the B-side to the single Color Me Father by the 1970s group The Winstons, a multiracial soul group that ended up winning the, I almost said Oscar, the Grammy for Best R&B song in 1970, which I think was maybe the last one that they didn't televise because I couldn't find actual footage on the internet. At the time of the recording, the band sort of didn't care about the Amen Brother song. They had recorded Color Me Father. They needed a B-side for their single. Amen Brother was an old gospel song that they covered, and so they had to sort of basically fill time in this recording. The band members were testy. They didn't really feel like doing it, but they did the session, and the rest is history. Now, here's the sad part. Well, the first of many sad parts. The band really couldn't tour much after their Grammy win because they were based in the South, and the South was not a friendly place to interracial bands, and therefore they just kind of fell into obscurity after that. Until 1986, Amen Brother was featured in a compilation called Ultimate Breaks and Beats. Also in 1986, the EMU, I should know this, SP1200 sampler was released, and that is one of the most important pieces of hardware of all time for music production, especially as it pertains to hip-hop and dance music. Just to drive the point home, here's a clip of Ice Cube literally using the SP1200.
Y'all wanna know how we make the music? We sample. You hear that? That, we put some of that in there, some of that, and then we just...
See? This beautiful cosmic coincidence is what caused the Amen break to be sampled as frequently as it did. It appeared in one of Salt and Pepper's first tracks.
Not a fan, but a phase of the hip-hop craze, which I desire.
Then it appeared on the genre-defining Straight Outta Compton by NWA. And a few others.
Casualties of war as I approach the barricade.
Just watch me. Watch me now.
From there, it hopped the pond just in time to give Acid House a little breakbeat flavor.
let the bass kick.
From there, it morphed into its faster sort of cousin, hardcore. Then into happy hardcore. And then into darkcore, the sort of reactionary genre.
Here come the drum!
From there, it turned into jungle. And then that morphed into drum and bass. whole genres based off of not just this one loop. One loop! Because there are other samples used in drum and bass, but this was the main loop that was used in a lot of this music. And then it eventually made its way back to the United States with drum and bass and jungle and all that stuff, but it never really quite reached popularity and sort of became the background music to a lot of things that we know and love and have heard in our life. And it's basically this ubiquitous thing that you can hear everywhere. You look for it, you will find it in all kinds of places. It has been used in everything from car commercials to David Bowie.
Little wonder then, little wonder, you little wonder you.
To Slipknot. To the theme of Futurama. Now, there's some theories as to what makes the Amen break so special. Some people surmise that it's the golden ratio that has something to do with it. I don't know about all that personally, but I'll tell you what I think. Number one, I think the drums, just the rhythm of it is just so perfectly humanly played. It just has a great groove and a teeny bit of swing to it, and it's just this fun, syncopated, percussive loop that just sounds great. It's the reason why people like breakbeats in general, and it's not the only breakbeat, but it is characteristic of what makes breakbeats great. Also, what I think is important about it and what is useful about it is that that snare sound just cuts through so nicely, and the sound of the drums in general is just crisp, and the way they were recorded makes it sound really good. Despite the sample's widespread use, the drummer Gregory C. Coleman, the drummer who once drummed for Otis Redding, Curtis Mayfield, and the Marvelettes, died homeless and destitute in 2006, likely never knowing the worldwide cultural legacy that his drumming left behind. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a lot of information on G.C. Coleman available on the internet, and a lot of it, I don't know if it's trustworthy or not. That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. Honestly, someone should make a documentary about this. Coleman's legacy demands that his story be told in more detail. Meanwhile, the band's singer, Richard Spencer, he never knew about the sample until 1996 when a record executive called him asking about the master tape. But by then, the 3-year statute of limitation had expired, and Spencer was not able to press any charges or take any legal action whatsoever. In an interview in 2011, he said he felt ripped off and raped, saying, quote, "Coleman's heart and soul went into that drum break. Now these guys copy and paste it and make millions." By 2015, his tune changed a little bit, remarking, "It's not the worst thing that can happen to you. I'm a black man in America, and the fact that someone wants to use something I created, that's flattering." That same year, British DJs Martin Webster and Steve Theobald raised £24,000 in a GoFundMe campaign to honor the leader of the band that helped spawn one of the most famous samples of all time. Spencer said of the gift, 50 years on, some young white boys that I've never met halfway across the world said, "We're going to give you a gift. It's probably one of the sweetest things that's happened to me in a long time." Aw. Spencer died in 2020. When I think about this story, I am filled with so many feelings. Awe at the scope of the influence of this sample, deep sadness at the complete lack of credit given to Gregory Coleman during his lifetime, and the fact that he died never knowing what his influence was on the world, and never getting to appreciate his impact on music. By the same token, I love that the Amen break was able to live as freely as it was, and I'm conflicted about the fact that, it came at the expense of these guys never really getting the credit they deserve. But that freedom allowed it to become what it is, which is one of the most important things in popular music culture today. I want to end on this note. The drummer of the greatest sample of all time died destitute and homeless, without ever knowing his impact on music. I want you to think about Gregory Coleman the next time you see somebody homeless on the street. That homeless person isn't just worthy of your respect and dignity. That person could already have an impact and legacy that outlasts you and everybody you know. So maybe consider that before you judge. That was Samples I Like. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.